Recording live in the Lucky Number 7 Lounge, this is Dine, Drink Vegas, the podcast by and for everybody who is stuck at home, but wishing they were in the land of neon lights and bad decisions. I'm your host, John, also known as the Baller on a Budget, and you have stumbled across episode number 92, where we're going to give you some tasty booze and a lot of Las Vegas news, plus a little preview of somebody's magical upcoming trip to Biloxi. But before we can do any of that, we have to welcome in the founder of Dine, Drink Travel and Dine, Drink Vegas himself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I can only mean the high roller formerly of the High Plains, the leader in the luxury lounge, the king of comps, the Alabama slammer, the man who will soon be waiting on, actually not a limo this time, but his wife and kids to drive him away for a sweet, sweet Father's Day trip. I am speaking of and to Bill. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, John. How are you today?
Well, we're going to get to this in the news. Last night was a rough night for anybody who was watching Sports Puck. We're recording on Monday after the Sunday night that I don't want to talk about, but we will. And it was a long day at work. However, I have a cocktail in front of me, which beats a frontal lobotomy.
And I think, John, you should probably tell our listeners what that cocktail is.
We should. This one's called the Golden Hour. So, Bill, we're doing this partially because anytime you have anything that is a fortified wine, say Lillet Blanc, or if you have vermouths, they will go stale and lose their flavor. They won't go bad. You won't get sick. They just don't taste their best after about a month to 2 months in the fridge. So since we rolled out a Lillet Blanc cocktail last week, I thought we'd roll out another. So this is the Golden Hour. And I like this one. This is one part. You could do this like Bill's going to make a double or a triple. So one part of a rye accented bourbon. The original recipe I found called for Basil Hayden. And then 3/4 of a part of Lillet Blanc, 3/4 of a part of Aperol. Now, you should build this in your mixing glass with a bunch of ice and stir it real good and then strain it over a rock. If you're lazy like me, build it in the glass you're going to drink in and then stir with your big rock in there and then garnish with some grapefruit. So, Bill, let's talk about what you did, any changes you made, what bourbon you used.
So I, for reasons which are unclear to me, decided to go high end, and I went with Blanton's. I didn't have any Basil Hayden. I had mostly for rye accented bourbons, I had higher end stuff. So I'm like, man, I'll do it. I went with the Blanton's, and otherwise made it precisely to recipe. I wound up making, I don't know, it started with 2 ounces of bourbon, then 1.5 ounces of the other things. Did use a fresh grapefruit peel. I got a little bit lazy because, I built it in the glass because that's just how I roll almost all the time. And I really didn't want to like this drink, John, and I think I kind of do. So it's sweeter than I prefer my bourbon drinks to be, but in my head, I wasn't making the Lillet Blanc work with the bourbon, and it's actually pretty darn good. So walk me through something. Why specifically grapefruit peel here instead of orange or lemon or any other citrus garnish?
So I don't know what the recipe originator was thinking, but here's my take on why I did it. And I'll get to my alcohol choices in a minute. But Aperol, or in my case, I've got a Total Wine Aperol knockoff that tastes 95% like Aperol and say be $5 a bottle. Aperol has a lot of citrus notes to it, but there is grapefruit in there. And because there's no bitters in this cocktail, the little bitter kick of grapefruit balances it out. Otherwise, I think it would be too sweet. And I really like this, more to the point my wife, who rarely drinks whiskey, took a sip of mine and made me make her one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm considering going into the next room and asking Rachel to take a drink of this, because you and I've talked about it before. She is not a bourbon drinker.
No.
But this would be about as close to it as I think I'm probably going to get her to go. And yeah, like that's just remarkably smooth. There is no bite from the bourbon at all. Now, that's probably because between the ice and everything else, it's mostly not a bourbon drink. But yeah, it is super good.
So I have the same result. And Bill, you talked about your bourbon. I'm using Old Granddad 114 proof.
Ooh,
So
that's a better choice.
I have high power bourbon in here. By the way, a little bourbon trivia. The Old Granddad on the bottle of Old Granddad is Basil Hayden.
Ha! I had no idea.
So same grain bill. If it's only aged a limited amount of time, it's going to be Old Granddad. The oldest expression of that is a 7-year-old. If they're going to make it a more refined tasting, it's going to be Basil Hayden. Same grain bill, same guy.
Huh. That is fascinating, right? I mean, yeah.
So I want to run this by you because I had a thought as I sipped this. And Bill, I think I know how I now categorize this drink. And it's because of the Lillet Blanc. It's because of that vermouthy, winey flavor. I think this is a summer alternative to a Manhattan.
I'm thinking through it, but I can see your point. And for me, the principal difference for the Manhattan is the Lillet Blanc instead of the Lillet Rouge. And you're right. The Manhattan is a little bit of a heavier drink. By the way, I've gotten a Manhattan aging in one of my whiskey barrels right now. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, no, so to the point, right? Like that Manhattan that I'm aging, it feels like it would be better with a more heavy oak. This would not. Yeah, I like it very much. I think you swung and connected with the ball this week, John.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Bill, because sometimes I make one that is pure torture for you. So I'm glad I got one right. Hey, Bill, why don't you? We're going to do something different with the news segment. We're going to start chopping this up by category. How about we dive into dining and drinking news in Vegas?
I am always in favor of dining and drinking news. And in our first dining and drinking story, Vegas Publicity shared that each Sunday, starting June 28th, Omnia Sky Bar will present the Sunset Club, an elevated dinner party backed by a curated soundtrack of deep house and more. This swanky nightlife option contrasts with the bikini-clad vibes of Omnia's Day Club. The menu features beer and wine starting at $8, cocktails starting at $22, appetizers in the high teens, and entrees running from a $28 burger up to $190, I think it is, 32-ounce tomahawk steak. Wait, John, am I reading this right?
Yes.
Tomahawk steak taco feast?
Yes.
And a show-stopping $259 sushi tableau, both meant for sharing. John, what in the name of fire is a tomahawk steak taco feast?
So they cook a 32-ounce tomahawk steak. They slice it into little slices, and then you get fresh tortillas and all of the fixings. And Bill, I would encourage you, go on the website and look at this. That's a thing that if, 32 ounces of tomahawk, 4 people, 2 couples could do this pretty easy. I think that's a good night.
I think it is a good night. It's just if I've got a high-end steak, I don't want to carve it up into tacos. I think I just want to eat the steak. Now, to be clear, I feel like I've earned lots of taco street cred, but tacos aren't something that you make with a high-end cut of anything.
Well, you could just eat your slices as steak slices, I suppose. I'm doing the taco.
I endorse that. For my tacos, though, I'm going to that all-you-can-eat taco joint we talked about in episode 91.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I would want to try that one too.
Yeah, well, what else is going on in dining and drinking news, John?
So this one, I just saw it scrolling on Twitter, X, whatever the trillionaire calls it this week. The Palms, we covered in the last episode that Earl of Sandwich is out at the Palms. Well, apparently it's being replaced by a Cold Stone Creamery, so you can get your ice cream and diabetes. Now, Bill, I have a rule that if there is a place that I can get locally, I don't eat it when I go to Vegas. I will say I don't allow myself, because of the diabetes, to have ice cream when I'm at home. If I was bumming around the Palms and it was late at night and my sweet tooth kicked in, I think I could go for this.
I would 100% go for this, and it wouldn't even be particularly close. Yeah, no, that's one of those things where you could absolutely get in the mood in Vegas where ice cream is the thing that you want. And I would be super excited about that, right? Like, I don't want to go to Vegas with people who can't get some late night ice cream, because that's just probably the healthiest thing that's happened in Vegas.
Although, depending on your beverage decisions that night, throwing ice cream in the mix, you may regret that a couple hours later.
I'm going to regret something a couple hours later anyway. I might as well live a little.
Well, let's move on to some entertainment and sports news. And I'll start here because, Bill, I don't know if you watched, but I did. The Carolina Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup in Las Vegas in Game 6 last night. Vegas got shut out. I will say their goalie, who we kind of badmouthed the last episode, held Carolina to only 3 goals, and the third one was kind of a garbage time late in the game. The Golden Knights just could not mount any offense. It was a hard game to watch. They had a good season. They had a great run after firing their coach with 8 games to go. They just couldn't bring it home. Bill, did you happen to tune in for any of this?
I did not, because I just don't understand enough about hockey to follow along. I think what's interesting about this to me, John, is the way that you have in a lot of ways become a Las Vegas sports fan. And I think that's what a lot of Vegas sports is relying on. It's not just the locals. Like, Vegas is a market in its own right, but people who are from other markets who decide to just attach to those Vegas teams. The only time I've seen you this disappointed in sports ball is when your Cowboys did literally anything. But other than that, right, like this is as attached as I've seen you to any game.
Well, I really did get into this. Right now, I have broken up with my NBA and NHL fandom. So for years, I was a Mavs and Stars fan, mostly because I married a girl from Dallas. I lived and worked in Dallas for a while. But the Mavs made me mad after Mark Cuban sold the team and some of the decisions they've made. But American Airlines Center is a good venue, and I don't care what anybody says. It's a good venue. I'm going to go on a Dallas rant. Forgive me, Vegas fans. American Airlines Center in Dallas is a good venue. More importantly, the City Center of Dallas needs things like sports teams. And it was really beneficial to the city of Dallas to have the Stars and the Mavs play there. Well, they have gotten into a feud about how to manage that facility, and now neither team is going to stay. I was already mad at the Mavs, but now I'm super mad at the Stars because the Stars broke their agreement with the Mavs years ago and had no intention of honoring it. So I need new basketball and hockey teams to root for. And I still am up in the air about NBA, but I think the Golden Knights are my hockey team now. I'm still not going to be a Raiders fan. Jerry Jones has not exiled me yet. He keeps winning me back.
That is a lot of self-abuse, and I will be happy to introduce you to any number of the members of my own therapy team because you clearly need to have those conversations.
Sure, rag on the Cowboy fan, Aggie. Go ahead.
You know what? My Aggies filled me with, and shut the, you know what? I'm going to move on to the next story, and I will have a full and frank exchange of views with you at some later point. Las Vegas Locally shared a picture of a new Las Vegas A's mural being painted on the Strip, and y'all, it's not huge, but it's pretty. It is right in front of Excalibur. You can see the W and the Mandalay Bay in the background. And to me, it's just signs that the A's are becoming a little bit more real. Would this tell you anything by itself? It absolutely would not. But you keep seeing just one more thing at a time. And I think, whatever, John and I have talked about this before. There's some controversy online about whether or not the A's have the money to get there because John Fisher doesn't have the money. And John and I are both absolutely convinced it happens one way or the other. Although I think for it to really happen, the A's would have to get just a little bit better. John, how has actual baseball gone in Las Vegas lately?
Well, in some A's related news, they were outscored by the Colorado Rockies 23-9 in a game held in Las Vegas on Sunday, June 14th. That was a record number of runs scored for Colorado, which normally plays in the famously thin air of, Colorado. And in related news, as President Mark Dine was quoted in the USA Today, saying they won't have trouble recruiting top talent to come to Las Vegas. Bill, yes, but to be fair, The stadium that's being built on the Strip will be air conditioned. Where they were playing ball the other night is not, and it was hot.
It was hot, and that heat would have nothing to do with how hard Colorado hit the baseball. That heat would make the Colorado players tired too, and apparently when they went up to bat, they were not. I think right now the A's aren't a very good team, and this move to Vegas is going to be good for the organization because I mean it's a more attractive destination that more people want to live in. And for that matter, sure, having an air conditioned stadium will absolutely be attractive to Major League Baseball players. Yeah, they're just the A's are not having a great season.
No, but they've had worse.
Yeah, they absolutely have. What else is going on, John?
Vegas 411 reports that the Totally Tubular Festival plays the Sahara Las Vegas at their pool on July 25th. This includes 80s one-hit wonder acts like Bow Wow Wow, Thomas Dolby, A Flock of Seagulls, and Tommy Two-Tone. The report says that the motels known for their hit Suddenly last summer are out due to lead singer Martha Davis having some health issues. Australian mainstays Men Without Hats are part of the tour, but the report didn't list them, so I'm not sure they're going to be at this particular show. Bill, would you want to go get your 80s on? And if so, which of these acts are most compelling for you?
As a general rule, the go get my 80s on, yeah, absolutely. The only one, most of those acts I haven't heard of. Like, I've heard of Tommy Two-Tone. I've heard of Men Without Hats. The others I mostly haven't. But I would probably go and just let myself relax and kind of enjoy it because inevitably there would be some songs that I would enjoy. And everyone else there would somehow make me look young and pretty. And that's the sort of Vegas event I want to go to sometimes.
Well, let me see if we can jog your memory. So Bow Wow Wow is known for their cover of the 1960s surf rock anthem, I Want Candy.
Oh, yeah. I almost broke out and sang it, and you're welcome for the fact that I did not.
Thomas Dolby, of course, she blinded him with science.
Mm.
And Flock of Seagulls, I ran so far away.
Okay. No, I would absolutely go to this. But in something I wouldn't go to, John, Vegas Publicity also covered plans for Camp Palm, an adults-only day camp running this July. Quoting the article, quote, campers can expect competitions, talent contests, sing-alongs, campfire stories, and interactive performances. The cast of characters includes camp director Larry, the enthusiastic leader, camp counselor Sandy and Brad, the flirtatious nurse Candy, and the ever-vigilant ranger Rick. The counselors roam the venue, interact with guests, lead camp-inspired activities, and create spontaneous comedic moments. End quote. I'm sure there is something I would like less in Vegas, John, but it almost certainly involves seeing you naked.
I would go to this in a heartbeat. Maybe I don't want to see me naked. But getting that mental image out of the way. So in another lifetime before my Vegas days, I spent some years doing youth ministry. I have worked a lot of youth camps. I think actually being able to go to adult camp in Vegas sounds like a really good way to
get arrested.
Replace some terrible memories of dealing with obnoxious people into a wonderful memory of me being an obnoxious person. So I'm down for this.
I absolutely hope you will enjoy it and that you will get video for the Dine Drink Travel YouTube channel because the world needs to see you at adult day camp, John. And I would absolutely not abuse what I did with that video.
Yeah, unfortunately, we fly out on July 1st, so I'm going to miss this. But if they were doing this in June, I would be there.
Great. Well, what else is going on?
The Review Journal's Neon blog reports that the MJ Live show, not to be confused with Cirque du Soleil's MJ1 show, is moving from a small venue at Harrah's to the larger Saks Theater at the Miracle Mile Shops at Planet Hollywood, trying to capitalize on the popularity of the Michael Jackson movie that's coming out there. Now, Michael Jackson is a, let's say, controversial character. Bill, would you have any desire to see either of the two Michael Jackson shows currently in Vegas?
No, partially because he was so controversial, partially because I don't know who else goes to that show. But yeah, that show is not for me. I hope you will enjoy yourself. I will be at the cocktail bar when you get out.
Yeah, I would pass on this one too. That's not up my alley. Speaking of things nobody wants to go to, Bill.
I actually kind of do. And for those of you who share my passion for civic architecture, public art, and, culture and such, VegasChanges.com reports that City Hall and the Vegas Civic Center will be giving free tours the third Wednesday of every month. And John, I would absolutely do this. I enjoy seeing how large public buildings work. That seems kind of exciting. And let's face it, if I'm there on a random Wednesday, I've probably got a little bit of free time. I might go check it out.
Random counterpoint, the Mob Museum used to be the federal court building, so there's civic architecture, and they have a bar in the basement.
Yeah, your logic is irrefutable. I'll go do that instead.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on to casino and business news. Scott of Vital Vegas tweeted, and we quote, "In a bizarre twist, downtown Las Vegas casinos generated more net income than the Strip in 2025, $154.2 million downtown versus The Strip garnered $154.2 million, downtown $159.2 million. Bill, I feel like the word net is doing a lot of lifting here.
Absolutely. My guess is that the Strip generated more total revenue. But you and I've talked about this before on probably a couple dozen episodes. The Strip strategy is increasingly to rely on a smaller base of very high rolling visitors. And there are a whole lot of people who are willing to spend their money downtown. Turns out some of that stuff is fairly high profit margin stuff, because even if you've got fairly, positive gambling odds, if you're giving people all the free Coors Light they can drink, which also doesn't cost you much, you're probably still making pretty good bank. You're still charging $12 for a giant leg full of Natty Light. Like, there is money to be made downtown. And because those casinos aren't nickel and diming their customers so badly, there's a price, and then you pay it and you move on with your day. I think that's starting to drive some changed financial results. What are you seeing in all this, John?
I think so. And I think you are seeing, we've covered all of the all-inclusive packages that are out there. We've talked about Excalibur is doing $3 margaritas all day. The Strip is trying to get back some value because I think they realize that having volume come through matters, and not everything can be elite and high end. We do want elite and high end. Sometimes, even though I'm on a budget, I do want to put the baller on a budget. But there's got to be some middle ground where you balance that out. And I think the Strip is correcting itself. But I'm happy for the downtown owners. I'm happy that the almost equal profit margins downtown go into a smaller set of hands, almost all of whom live in Vegas, call Vegas home, invest back in the community. I don't think that's just good for downtown. I think it's good for the city.
I think it is absolutely good for the city. But hold on to that thought, because there's some related news from TheStreet.com, who says that global retailer W.H. Smith, who is the owner of 30 Welcome to Las Vegas gift shops across the valley, as well as a number of other fashion outlets, is closing or has announced closure dates for 14 uneconomic fashion and gift outlets. They anticipate closing or selling the other outlets within a year. They note that this is because of declining visitor numbers and an increasing focus by operators on high-end tourism. So it's what we were just saying with the previous story. There's not as many people going through Vegas. And it looks to me like that hasn't hurt downtown yet. It is starting to hurt the Strip, to the point that a lot of these stores that are getting closed are some of these stores, some of the fashion outlets or the gift outlets on the Strip. Yeah, I think the Strip has been eating itself alive, and I'm hoping the two new ownership groups are able to turn some of that around.
Well, I do think part of that, though, is because I don't think the market for these souvenirs is what it used to be. A lot of this, in the age of Temu and all of that, I think the average consumer realizes how dirt cheap these products are to make and import. So when you're paying, $35 for the tchotchke that they spent 75 cents to make. I think at a certain point, consumers get savvy and don't want that junk anymore.
Sure, but we're not reading about nationwide gift shops being closed, which sells all the same schlocky stuff. We're reading about Las Vegas stores, including not just their gift stores, but their other fashion outlets and stuff, because there's just not as many people there.
Okay, fair.
Right.
All right. Well, casino.org search TripAdvisor posts. What a scientific way to do this. And reviews for users sharing stories of winning jackpots or to compile their list of the luckiest casinos in America. The Hard Rock, run by the Seminoles out in Tampa, Florida, topped the list, which is a good sign as they are remodeling the old Mirage into their new strip outlet. The only Vegas casinos to crack the top 10 were South Point at number 3 and the Palms at number 10. Bill, I have never gambled at either of these. I know you've gambled at the Palms. Are you surprised that South Point and the Palms are, quote unquote, the luckiest casinos in Vegas?
I would want to see the math behind that, because getting to a claim like luckiest casino in America, gosh, there's a lot of ways you could get to the data to make that claim. And I just man, I got some doubts. So sure, is it possible? Absolutely. I wanted to find some terms here before I buy into it.
I will say, TripAdvisor, I get the feeling, I rarely go to TripAdvisor. I get the feeling when I read there, and I am not young, that most of the people that are posting there are older than me, and I'm not sure that they're a significant, I don't know what kind of sample size this represents.
Yeah, but you know what? Sure, at some point I need to go check out South Point anyway, and the Palms has always been lovely. But going back to like the major casino groups, according to Yahoo Finance, CBRE, a real estate evaluation firm, has actually downgraded their stock recommendation on MGM resorts from a buy to a hold as uncertainty surrounds Barry Diller and People Inc.'s buyout offer. Conversely, rival consultants CoStar say the bid proved that MGM is undervalued as a company. So, and let me back up for a second, John. How much uncertainty is there about People Inc.'s rumored buyout of MGM? Like how much do we know about how likely this is to actually happen?
So I did not do a search before we went on today because I got sucked down the rabbit hole of watching Vegas Matt lose $10,000 playing video poker. By the way, shout out to Vegas Matt. If you don't watch that guy's videos, he's all baller, but the man has no budget. He will lose any amount of money. It's amazing. So I didn't look to see if there were any updates today, but as of yesterday, the only word out of MGM is a formal recognition that, yes, they received the offer. And that's been, 9-10 days now. These things move slow. We know the whole situation with Caesars. The rumors floated in February and nothing got confirmed till May. So we shouldn't expect to have an answer by now, but there's been painfully little come out from either camp about where this is headed. I'm optimistic that it happens, but Bill, at this point, everybody's speculating, probably including these two real estate consulting groups.
That absolutely makes sense to me. I guess I will close with this. I mostly just want some takeover of MGM to happen because I hate their customer service so much. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned that to you before, John.
Just a time or two. We only have 3 episodes about it.
3 entire episodes devoted to nothing but that rant. Yeah.
And yet I'm staying with them here in 13 days.
I hope that your wife, Lori, has a delightful trip when she goes.
Yes. I do too. There's a lot of this that we planned for her, even though she said it's my trip. All right, Bill, on that note, we're not going to talk about my next trip. We're going to talk about yours, not to Vegas. Why don't you tell the listeners what you're going to do for your Father's Day extravaganza?
So, folks, I am not all that far of a drive from Biloxi, Mississippi, which is a reasonable Vegas alternative. You can absolutely fly there. You fly into the Gulfport Airport. but it is a 6-hour drive for everybody from Atlanta to Memphis to Houston, which makes it an option for essentially the entire southeastern United States at a lower cost, and stuff costs less there. Now, if you're looking for an authentic Vegas experience, that's not what you're going to get. But if you're looking for steaks and martinis and high-end seafood and some gambling and some sports betting, they have absolutely got you. One of the reasons we're going, besides the cost of it, is it's one of my kids is already in college. One of them's going off to college in a couple of months. I want to do stuff with my family. And Biloxi's the sort of town where you can do things with your family way more easily than you can comfortably do it in Las Vegas. So yeah, we're excited. I guess the only danger is a lot of Biloxi's built on doing interesting activities out on the water, and it's supposed to rain while we're there. So I don't know how well that goes. And I think the thing that'd be particularly disappointing is, John, you convinced me, pool days are a good thing. We rented a pool cabana. I think that'll be fun as long as it's not like drenching rain the entire time.
I think that does sound like a good time. I'm hoping the weather holds up for you. You know, sometimes along the Gulf, it'll rain while you're there, but you'll get half the day with sun and the rain will come and go. I hope that's what you luck into. I also hope, now I forgot where you're staying, but wherever you're staying, I hope you wander into the Hard Rock, because you need to test how lucky the Hard Rock is.
So I am staying at the Hard Rock. That is where the pool cabana reservations are. So listeners, if you've never been to Biloxi, there are several scattered hotels, but there's two basic zones. My favorite zone is one where there's just two hotels. There's the Beau Rivage and there the Hard Rock. That is right by the minor league baseball stadium where we're going to go watch a game. It is right by one of the docks and marinas, all the in-town restaurants. It's great. There's another hotel zone, like 1.8, 1.9 miles away, where you've got the Harrah's and the Golden Nugget and the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville and a few other places. It is a slightly larger hotel zone, but there's less local interest and local stuff to do. Yeah,
so you get your more isolated, pure resort type of thing versus your mix of resort and local.
So yeah, and I think for me, the resort and local part is part of the real benefit, because you and I've talked before about Las Vegas as a real place where people actually live. Biloxi is a place where people actually live, and you can stumble out to any number of just like locals bars or restaurants that are really good, and where some dude had seafood on his boat earlier that day and someone will grill it for you. Also, baller on a budget tip. Can I offer you a Biloxi baller on a budget tip, John?
Please.
So Keesler Air Force Base is there, and I don't know what the good people at Keesler Air Force Base do, but I do know they have a lot of enlisted personnel there who don't make a crap ton of money. And those people all need places to drink. And those places tend to be walking distance from the Hard Rock and the Beau Rivage. And they have just phenomenal sandwich and drink specials. You're welcome, John.
That sounds really good. And if I can get a shrimp or an oyster poor boy and a nice cold beer, I think that sounds like a good time.
That is absolutely been a good time. But no, I am very much looking forward to it. Would I rather go to Vegas? I absolutely would. But I don't have the kind of money for that. And I want to do something I can do with my kids. So we're going to go. I'll gamble a little, but we're going to eat some steaks and seafood in a place I want to take them. We're going to get some boats, go out on the water, watch baseball games. And Rachel is, I assume, going to the outlet mall at some point.
That sounds like a really good trip with your family, Bill. I'm jealous of that. I feel bad that all I get to do is leave the kids at home and sneak away with my wife and go to Vegas.
Yeah, I would feel bad for you. I don't yet. I've got to consider your situation a little bit longer.
All right. Well, that's fair. Well, we'll preview my upcoming Vegas trip on the next episode, but let's go ahead and bring this one in for a landing. Bill, why don't you tell everybody where they could find more Dine Drink Vegas and Dine Drink Travel content?
Folks, you can find us on YouTube at Dine Drink Travel, where we bring you short and focused videos to help you plan your next trip. Something like 5 or 10 minutes on the executive lounges at the Las Vegas airport, or some high-end hotel rooms, or for that matter, the great fun I've had on my trips to Ireland. You can also find me on every social media platform at Dine Drink Travel, although most important of those is probably X, because that's where you can find John.
I'm at Dine Drink John, where you can hear me talk about adult beverages, about fine coffee, about travel to Las Vegas, traveling across Texas, wonderful barbecue. And today I was just picking on some dude who was griping about not getting a late checkout, like that's a guarantee or something. Anyway, we're so glad you took the time to listen to our episode. We hope that you will share our content with your friends and your family, with that buddy that's got a trip coming up to Vegas, that enemy that hates to listen to old fat white Southern guys drink and talk. Please post us on your social media. Help us grow an audience so we can keep bringing you this amazing top shelf and free Las Vegas travel content. Thanks once again. And until the next episode, happy travels. It's buttons. Was that the button? Was that the sound? Is that the sound it makes now? That's not the sound.
Shall we, sir?
Okay, I guess that was the sound. All right, here we go. 5,